Yes, welcome. What am I saying welcome for? Last slot of the day, and I guess what's left of the audience, I just want to check that you're all still awake, concentrating and listening what I'm going to tell you about quality standards. So I'm going to show a slide, and I'd like to see how many differences you can spot. Okay, I guess from the response people are awake, paying attention. Good. Very briefly, the presentation I'd like to give, those are the objectives, an overview of quality standards in their entirety, focusing on the quality standards for end-of-life care, and then some information about some support tools to aid implementation of the end-of-life quality standards contained within the commissioning and benchmarking tools and other implementation support that you might be interested in from NICE. Just a quick slide to show you. I'm sure you're all aware where NICE fits in the emerging NHS commissioning architecture. We've got the commissioning board, Care Quality Commission monitor, and then NICE very much a central role in terms of its preparing and researching best practice, evidence-based care. Just a quick hand check. Familiarity with quality standards. Can people put up their hand if they've never heard of quality standards? Don't be shy. Oh, good. Heard of them but haven't seen one? Read at least one? Oh, good. Read them all? No? Anybody used them? And I was really interested in what Nigel was saying. You're starting to look at them to use them. Has anybody else used them? Good, because we're really, I mean, maybe if you're well advanced in terms of applying them, we'd be interested to speak with you around case studies, etc. Shared learning database that NICE has. Okay, just a quick overview of what the Health and Social Care Act says about quality standards. I won't read through it, but needless to say, it's contained within primary legislation. Sorry, was anybody reading that? Just a bit quick. NICE quality standards, what are they? Well, they define high quality, cost-effective care across a disease, condition or service. And there are some of the benefits that we anticipate the different groups will get from using quality standards. Diagram to the right just shows that quality standards, they're derived from best available evidence, informed by guidance and key policy documents, and at the top of the pyramid, that's where the quality standards. So essentially, they're underpinned by evidence. Improving care for patients. The intention is that the quality standards demonstrate the delivery of high quality care through measurable statements and indicators to be used in a variety of ways. And as you're probably aware, NICE has a leading role in relation to developing the indicators for QOF, the indicators for the commissioning outcomes framework, and what we're trying to do, because of having that kind of pivotal role, is try and make sure that whatever's developed in terms of quality standards, the commissioning outcome framework indicators and QOF indicators, there's some alignment, some connection. So we're trying to make sure that it doesn't kind of not read across each other. Where quality standards fit? Well, I'm sure you're all very familiar with the NHS outcomes framework. Excuse me. Quality standards sit beneath the outcomes framework, and then there's all the kind of provider payment mechanisms. So I've already referenced QOF, the commissioning outcomes framework, and commissioning guidance. So very central to the new commissioning architecture, and already referenced where quality standards sit in the Health and Social Care Act. Why has NICE developed a quality standard for end-of-life care? Well, the topics are not decided by NICE for quality standards. They are referred to NICE from the Department of Health, but there is a dialogue, and we very much take feedback from stakeholders around the country about what they feel the priorities are. So there's an annual process of topic selection, and end-of-life care was chosen as one of them, and you can see through the need, variation and costs that it was identified as a priority. hence the development of the end-of-life care quality standards. Oh, excuse me. Quick map there of the country, and that's just to highlight the variation. Can you read that yet? Episodes per 100,000 people who died in hospital with a length of stay of 8 days or greater. And you can see the dark colours represent high volume, medium volume and low volume. And I see London there, a little island of medium. More detail, as you can see, is available in the commissioning benchmarking tool that NICE have developed, and I'll come on to that. Okay, so if you look on the NICE website, you'll see the end-of-life quality standards, 16 of them, sentinel markers of high-quality care, covering the whole pathway, and each quality standard has process and outcome measures attached to them. Sounds like, given that most of you put your hands up, you're all probably very familiar or familiarish with them. Mapped against areas of care along the care pathway, so wherever you are in the system, it can help kind of take you to where the quality standard that might be or might not be most appropriate to you. I guess one of the challenges will be, it was the previous government that quality standards came about, and the idea that to develop quality standards. So I guess the issue is, what do we do with them? Quite often it's very difficult to argue against statements of quality, but it's like, okay, what about the measures? What about the indicators? How do we actually make sense of these? And that's why I'm particularly interested to hear of people who've actually putting them into practice. But we have developed a commissioning support guide for using the quality standard for end-of-life care, and the bullet points just take you through what some of the content of that particular document highlights. So, QUIP examples, we're still looking for more, and sequin examples. If anybody's building end-of-life quality standards into their local sequin commissioning arrangements, we'd be interested to hear. And the resource itself signposts commissioners to the whole range of resources. And we have worked very closely with Anita and the End-of-Life Care Programme around the development of the indicators, and they're very much informed by the End-of-Life Care Quality Assessment tool. And finally, well, not finally, sorry, there's the full guidance, the NICE commissioning guidance for end-of-life care. And again, the bullet points just take you through some of the kind of content of that guide. It's split into two. There's half, I say it's half, it's not exactly half, but there's the actual guide itself, and then the second half is the commissioning and benchmarking tool. Has anybody used the commissioning and benchmarking tool? You have? Oh, right.
I have tried.
Oh, I'd be useful to...
Part of my question in a few minutes.
Oh, would you, is it a good time now? Tell me what your experience was.
And I spoke to one of your colleagues about this previously as
Yes.
well, because I work within South West London across 5 borough
Yes.
city areas, and actually when I tried to use the commissioning and benchmarking
Yeah.
tool, you have to actually register with sort of one.
By PCT,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
And actually, given that in the future commissioning
Yes.
for end-of-life care might
Yeah.
be a federation of clinical commissioning groups,
Yes.
or they're going to have to look at things at a
Yes.
higher level
Yes.
than just one
That's,
organisation.
yeah.
I think it's a great tool.
Yeah, but it needs
But
to be...
actually, to be practical,
Yes.
it's going to have to be able to be accessible across.
You've already fed that back, so that'd be great. Kind of.
Yeah, and I can't remember the name of the person, but yeah. I
Yeah,
think it was,
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
It was, yeah.
I mean, for those who are not familiar with it, it is potentially a very useful tool against which you can benchmark services. It's populated with data per PCT, but it's not. You can play around with the data and make it a little bit more flexible and responsive to what your particular data is telling you. So it is interactive, and hopefully people are going to start using it to help with costing. Taking you through it really. There's well, I'm sure as you're aware, the evidence around caring for people at end of life is the costs of the evidence around costs is very weak around community-based care. So the cost commissioning and benchmarking tool looks at costs of reduced admissions and reduced length of stay. So the data is taken from the hospital episode statistics and is very much based upon that. Quick example, you click in the PCT and it benchmarks you against the national average around length of stay, for example. Okay, where do you find these resources? On the NICE website, of course. Into practice and the quality standards across the top there, if you're familiar with the website. Commissioning guides, supporting tools. And finally, did everybody know that NICE have a field team of implementation consultants? Were you aware of that? Okay, well basically I'm one of those. There's 7 across the country and covering a region. And basically we are your local contact. I say local, not that local I guess, if it's, well for me the north of England, but regional contact point. If you want to feedback, if you're looking to get some support on how to use some of these tools, by all means get in touch with one of the field team who will come out. I say come out and see, I don't want to commit anybody else, but yes, the intention is we'd come out and have a conversation with you around what you might be doing, what you might be hoping to do and how you can use some of the tools that NICE provide. And I don't know if you're familiar with the wider range of tools that NICE have around supported implementation. We have slide sets, educational tools for staff, and a whole range of other kind of implementation tools. Jane, who is the London implementation consultant, is in Barcelona today, feels like I am, but so she couldn't make it, but she would be the London contact. And as you can see, if there's people from surrounding areas, you can see who your implementation consultant would be. So that's the field team. And finally, keeping in touch. Any questions? Yeah.
Earlier you showed the triangle.
Yes.
With the QS on top.
Yes.
Above guidance and evidence, I think.
Yes.
On the library of quality standards, there are proposed quality standards for chemotherapy services
Yes.
and radiotherapy services. And I believe NICE has recently decided there is no existing guidance or evidence
Yes.
to be able to develop a QS. Well, for the
Yes.
past 3 to 5 years, the service has been busy trying to implement reports produced by national groups on radiotherapy services and chemotherapy services. Yeah. You know, this is national policy, all
Yes.
as far as the evidence goes, evidence-based. So I wonder what the justification is for having to now do a clinical guideline. It just seems like an odd use of national resources when it feels like there's lots of evidence or
Yes.
national guidance already
Yes.
in place.
Yes. That's. I mean, I can't answer that directly, but it's something I could find out for you. But basically, I think you're absolutely right. The issue is that the quality standards, the intention, I say that the kind of mooted 2 years ago now as taken forward, but the intention would be that it be informed by clinical guidelines or technology appraisals, the research evidence base. If that isn't there, and we've, NICE have been referred that chemotherapy is a topic, but actually the feeling that the evidence base or the clinical guideline is not already there, then the decision has to be made, are they going to develop a technology-based or clinical guidelines before the quality standard, or is there enough accredited evidence that's robust enough to develop a quality standard without the guidelines? That's an ongoing debate that I can't particularly, in the particular area you're talking about, I'm not familiar why or what.
Is there a difference between, because I know the chemotherapy and radiotherapy were included under cancer and tumour topics. whereas there is a section on service delivery. Are they in the wrong? Is there a different criteria applied to the evidence for service delivery?
No, I don't know why that would be. But I guess what we have come across is, as I say, there's 180 topics for quality standards being referred to NICE. Not all of those have already developed a clinical guideline. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. And I just remembered it was the London field, Jane Moore. Who
It was Jane, was it? Yeah.
Just in terms of the mandatory or not quality standard.
Not.
Question. And is there, I think Jane said that the process, that there is, that the standard is aspirational until such times as, and I wasn't sure if it was government or there was going to be another process, because in the quality standard, the blurb at the beginning, I think it says something like CQC will be interested in organisations that are not meeting blah blah blah.
Yeah.
What are we waiting for, or what is the government producing?
No, that's a good question. They're not mandatory, and what was certainly, I think what we're really waiting for is what the NHS Commissioning Board, how they want to use quality standards. So some kind of clear direction. The commission for NICE is to develop them. And I guess with the change in government and the change in the architecture, the commissioning board developing this year. So it's a little bit of a dynamic dialogue about the best way to make use of quality standards. And in terms of CQC, as Jane Moore, my colleague, has said, essentially they are aspirational best quality statements, whereas the CQC, it's a minimum essential standards. But certainly if you are going to look at registration assurance as CQC, you will be looking, we expect, at, is this organisation aspiring to best practice and drop down to minimum.
So in that case, organisations should be aware of the measures and know how well or not they comply with those.
Yes, because if you're complying and making plans and strategies around the quality standards, then you will be doing good progress on your CQC essential standards. And there has been dialogue between NICE and CQC around the development of the quality standards. And there are a couple of direct read acrosses in some of the quality standards.
Great, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much.